Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community,
striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Farce make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still buried in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. But I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history,
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history,
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Parks make life better.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
I gotta let daycare know that I'm running late. They charge if you're late. And I'm not usually one of those people to text and drive, and I was almost done with my text when that car came out of nowhere.
You still veered in oncoming traffic. And that text message, it never got through.
One text or call could wreck it all.
Santa Rosa, out there in the middle of everything.
You still texting?
Busy. Where we at?
County morgue?
Not on my schedule.
You scheduled it when you T-boned that minivan and sent 2 people to the hospital. Guess you was paying more attention to that thing than the road.
Making sure my wife picks up my suit.
Sounds like a text message that just couldn't wait.
Texting and driving. A killer combination.
In recreation and parks, the days begin when the sun rises. Most of our workspaces don't have 4 walls or a desk, but there's a lot to be done to get this place up and running. It takes a big team to cover so much ground. Each space is unique, requiring its own special method of care and service. And it's of utmost importance to see that it happens each day, because our workspace is your leisure space. And it includes 950 acres of Santa Rosa. It's the parks, the trees, the fields, the trails, special gathering places, community spaces, and it belongs to everyone.
We work for our community, striving to improve quality of life.
We provide family experiences, friendly competitions, leisurely evenings,
and places to bond with man's best friend.
We create space for celebration, relaxation, and artistic expression.
You can learn to serve a ball or learn to serve a meal.
Take a walk on a path or walk the plank.
We've got beautiful settings, space to show off our history.
We have room to roam, to roll, or to run.
We allow for the silly, the serious, the cool.
We offer countless ways to work on your health.
We keep our youth safe and teach them to keep others safe.
We challenge people to want to challenge themselves.
We foster creativity, guide athletes, hone passions.
We allow for little minds to dream.
And we'll keep doing what we do each day.
Because we know
that for our community,
Parks make life better.
ready to start. For some reason today, it feels like I'm really echoing. I don't know what this going on, but is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes, it sounds fine.
Okay. All right. I'd like to come back in from closed session. The closed session closed at 6:10. There was no action taken. Now I'd like to move on to announcements. And this is different than commissioner reports. We'll get to reports from the libraries in a minute. I have a couple of things that I wanted to mention in announcements. And one of them is that we've alluded to or looked at the Library Commission becoming involved in various professional organizations. And I have asked, kind of short notice so we don't have it tonight, but I've asked Rebecca to please put together a list of possible organizations. There's the American Library Association, there's the California Library Association. There are a variety of associations that we can become members of and get journals and have wonderful times reading about the library profession. But specifically, I wanted to mention that the ALA, the American Library Association's National Convention, is meeting in San Francisco the end of June. And Rebecca and I checked, it's like the 26th through the 25th through the 30th. And so specifically, I wanted to remind commissioners that, number one, it's not, that would be before the next year's budget is operative, but in next year, we all have essentially $500 to go to commissions, go to meetings or conferences. And I'd also like to mention that before you can access those funds, you have to provide proof that you've been through the online ethics training. And Rebecca sent out that link a while ago, but perhaps she can do it again if people lose things in their email. But this is a real opportunity right at our doorstep. And my understanding, staff can pipe in, we wouldn't need to agree to go every day for all those days. We could go to part of it. But it would be a good chance for us to broaden our knowledge of the library field. And it's close. And I wanted to be sure to mention it this time because it's May and the next meeting is in June and the ALA is in June. So I wanted to give you a heads up about that. Are there any questions about that or comments? Barbara?
Was that ALA or CLA?
ALA.
So it's the whole national organization?
The national,
wow.
Yeah. Library Association.
And what kind of forum do they hold that in? Do you know?
Do you want to talk about the ALA conference? I think there are sessions that you can attend.
Yeah. Is this on? Yes. It's usually starts on a Friday and goes through Monday. And each day there's a lot of different workshops running concurrently on a variety of topics. And then there's a big exhibit floor where technology vendors and book vendors from around the country are there, usually about 900 or so booths. And then another thing is, since it's a national organization for the profession, there's a lot of committees and that meet during that time to create best practices and that for the profession. So those are kind of a snapshot of what happens during the conference. But I agree, it'd be great for you all to check it out.
And is there a trustee strand?
Pardon?
Is there a trustee strand?
Yeah, there's a division specifically for Friends, trustees, and foundation members.
Other questions? No? Okay, I have one other announcement. I passed out to you a piece of paper that looks like this. It's the directions on how to access the Sonoma County Library staff website. Rebecca, do you want to give a little bit of information about what's there and why we might want to do that?
There's a lot of statistics there.
A lot of what?
All of our annual statistics are posted there. There's organizational structure information, all sorts of fun stuff.
Right, and on occasion in the past, it's been the way we've distributed some things, and it's a storehouse of documentation that we can go to. Anything else you want to add about that site, staff? No? Okay, so the instructions are there. I'm not quite sure what the check out a book or movie today at the library part is.
That's the password.
So that's what it means. Okay, so in case you can't remember it. Okay. I'll tell you later. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Barbara. Any other announcements that the commission has at this point?
Now that all the viewing audience knows.
Well, but they don't know the website and the rest of the document. All right. Moving along. Do we have any comments from the public? All right. No other announcements from the commission, for the commission. Let's move right to commission report. Nobody here from a Library Friends organization? Okay. Commission reports. Let's start at Paul today.
I have no report on the Guerneville lab because we will be meeting next Wednesday.
No report on the Santa Rosa lab. That meeting is coming up soon, and I will just compliment all of the staff for All Staff Day. It was I was there for not all day, but it was a wonderful event. I was happy to be there. I was happy to see all the staff there, so thank you. I'm afraid I'm going to be a little longer. The Friends at Rohnert Park Katati are having their volunteer lunch on May the 12th, which is always a big event. We have all the friends, and we invite all the volunteers who normally work at the library. So that's on May the 12th. Anybody like to pop in? Our lab met, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and out of it came a very exciting group because we have some new lab members who we managed to light a fire, and we're going to have a outreach, a booth at the farmers market in Rohnert Park. We're shooting for a dry run of the Sunday farmers market on May the 17th, and then try to work the Friday night farmers markets through the summer. We're getting a spinner, a prize spinner, and we're going to give away free books and pencils with the library's name and so forth. And the point is to give out information about the library programs, sign-up sheets for library cards and so forth. So we're pumped. We're ready to go. We're going to use our lab budget, and we will probably go into the next year's lab budget right away because we really want to have some good prizes to give away. And then we may turn to the friends and ask them to continue to supplement our endeavors. But anyway, I'm real hopeful this is going to be good. My commissioner's report is I also attended all staff day, and I commend all of the staff who did such a good job. I learned a lot. I learned a lot just talking to people, and I learned a lot at the different sessions. It was all very interesting. The lunch was great. I really got a lot out of it, like Brett's presentation. And it was just fun. I really got a good sense of I'm so amazed at how many extra things are going on in the library. And no matter what, every day it's like a new door, and I find out something else is going on. So anyway, it's great. At this event, I managed to actually introduce myself to Tony Hoskins after Paul Heavenridge's glowing report. At the last meeting, I said, I have to meet you because I have to know about the genealogy and history library before you leave. So we quickly scheduled it, and I went down on Wednesday and had a wonderful tour of the history and genealogy library, which is so cool. And I got to hold Maria Carrillo's last will in my hands. I mean, it's an incredible resource. It's a treasure. So that was fantastic. And then I went to Tony Hoskins' goodbye party on Friday night, and that was really fun with this great staff had put together, I guess, this great theme of going off to Palm Springs. So everything's kind of desert and Western theme. It was really fun. I think that's all I want to say. Thank you.
I'll start by talking about our lab. We have 3 new members. Tom Colbert, who is a former commissioner, Greta Mixis, and I'm not sure if I've got her her first name right, Diore Goldenas, and she's a student at the high school. I will be attending the annual Friends of the Library meeting Wednesday. I would also like to commend all of the commissioners. You guys are such witty, extemporaneous speakers. I was just really amazed. I was really happy that I didn't have to speak. And you guys just did a really great job. And all staff day was just really something. On a completely separate subject, I've heard a lot of comments about the strategic plan and not having access to this and that. The results group, Michael and BJ, have put forth an offer that they would be willing to meet with any commissioner. All you've got to do is call them up, and they'll bring you up to speed on where we are with the strategic plan. It's not a linear process, but it's a lot of information gathering that we've been on. Anyway, so the phone number is 577-08-1. I can't hardly read my own writing. 18. 577-0818. And call them, and they'll set up a meeting with you, and you can. Michael or BJ from the results group. And that's it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Sanders. I represent Sonoma Valley, and I have a few things to report out. First of all, I want to thank Mike and Ken for joining me with the Sonoma County Taxpayers Association presentation that we did on April 16th. I think it was very well received. We worked hard to put together a lengthy presentation and answer some questions at the end. And as you all know, there are many people involved in that organization that have been active in the community here in Sonoma County for a long time. So it was time well spent. I'm hoping that we can leverage the work that we did to put that presentation together and give it to other groups in the community. And one of them that I think would be beneficial is the Sonoma County Mayors and Council Members Association. And with support from staff, from Brett and the commission, if you have any input on that, it's I think it's a quarterly meeting that happens that the Sonoma County Mayors and Council Members, by definition, get together once a quarter, and they usually have a guest speaker, and they have their own bylaws. They're an official group, and I think it would, given that many of them are members of the JPA, I think it would be time well spent for us to give that same presentation to them. So there's I'm not sure who's in charge of scheduling their programming, but we should probably reach out, probably be appropriate for staff to reach out with the support of the commission, that we get out in front of them and give that presentation maybe sometime later on this year or early next year. Then I would like to report out that we had our last meeting of the lab was April 9th. We will have a book sale this month. I have a vacancy. Unfortunately, Lorna Sheridan, who has been a lab member, her term is coming to an end in June, and she will not be able to renew, and we will be refilling her position. So there's one vacancy there. And I'm hoping to, at the next meeting, hopefully we'll be looking at the candidates for the youth position and making an appointment. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Hi, I reported on Sebastopol's meeting at our last commission meeting. They meet every other month now. So, but I do have a couple things to say, and one is that I echo the remarks that have been made about the all-staff day, and really enjoyed myself and enjoyed the staff-run presentations that I was able to attend in the morning, and Brett's talk, and we did miss Paul because at the last all-staff day he he did some pretty good extemporaneous speaking. So we missed you, Paul. But I also wanted to mention that later this month there will be a book sale by the Friends of Sebastopol Library, and that is from May 13th through the 16th, and that people in the area or anyone in the county can come have coffee with Brett on May 27th at 10 o'clock, I think it is. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. Thanks.
Petaluma had a lab meeting. I believe it was our first meeting with our new members. We meet quarterly. Our branch manager is back home, and so we're happy about that. And one of our staff has been there, I believe it's 16 years or 14 years, is Kate Keaton is now becoming the branch manager in Northwest. So as I said to her, I have mixed feelings. I'm pleased with her advancing and sad that she's leaving. She was very active in developing our teen program and involved in making, I think, anyway, having a teen member on the lab, and we will miss her but wish her well. Also, I was talking a little bit about the multi-language poetry reading day we had, and one of the ideas that came up at the lab, one of the things I mentioned was that it was not very widely attended. It was a fascinating evening, but there were not all that many people there. But one of the suggestions from our city council rep was that we can get our local radio TV station to tape these events, and so therefore they can be run on the public access television, and they have a wider range of what the library is about and doing. And so I thought that was a wonderful idea. And we also have a book sale coming up, but I'm not sure of the dates.
Is there a list of all the book sale dates by any chance anywhere?
It's on the website.
It's on the website? Thank you. I, too, got to go to All Staff Day, and I thought it was great. And it was good to see many of you there, and it was wonderful for me to participate and meet these people that have worked 30 and 40 years in your system, in our system. So I was very honored. Thank you.
I also attended the All Staff Day and had a great time. Windsor had a lab meeting at the beginning of April. We had a Minecraft coding camp that was sold out very quickly, and I think the kids all had a great time. So thank you, Rebecca, for that. This past Saturday was our Lego day, and then the Windsor staff treated all the Windsor volunteers to dinner that evening, along with the cake.
I attended the Roanoke Park Cotati Lab meeting on April 21st. I don't have a lot to add to Commissioner McKenzie's report. We are going to be looking for a new youth member coming up, as our youth member is getting older and graduating, which is what they tend to do. Our next lab meeting will be Tuesday, June 16th.
Thank you. It's now time for the reports from the committees. Since Hillary just spoke, we'll go right to Finance first and then go back to the Director's Evaluation Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance Committee met on Monday, April the 20th at Central Branch. Commissioners Whistler, Grill, and McKenzie were present. Foxon was absent. Director Lear and CFO Neiman and Human Resources Director Patrick Preston were the staff in attendance. We had one member of the public. We were excited. We have never had any member of the public show up. So we had one member of the public, and she was a library employee. And she was very eloquent on a number of topics. I thought I'd mention what they were. She asked for development of the gift policy. So she's also looking forward to that. We've talked about that tonight. Expressed some thoughts about the compensation policy and the idea that the union might be willing to extend the current contract. I don't know that she was speaking in the union's behalf, but anyway, this idea was floated, which was an interesting idea. She expressed an opinion that the issues with the study, compensation study, were about classification and not compensation. She expressed a comment that other studies for other libraries have been jointly paid for by the library and the union. And Patrick, I believe, later said that this had been offered but had not been accepted. If a subcommittee to review the compensation study were created, this member of the public would love to be a volunteer on it. And she later commented, came back and popped her head back in the door and said she really liked our commission because we were open-minded and friendly and we listened to ideas. And that was a nice comment to hear from her. At the meeting, I reported on a conversation that I had with our chairperson, Tim May, and he is encouraging our finance committee to develop its role, flesh out more the role and the procedures and so forth of the committee itself, and also with the looking to the future that we would be bringing more actual recommendations to this full group. So, as a result of that, we put together our chair wanted us to discuss the draft gift policy before it came to the commission in June. So as a result of this, we developed a work plan, and I'll just let you know what we're doing. So it may take a second, but you'll probably want to know. Our May Finance Committee, which is going to be May 18th, we're going to talk about the draft gift policy and the role of the Finance Committee and its functions, procedures, and interactions with this commission. And then for our June Commission meeting, we'll be looking at that draft gift policy. I forgot to mention that the last meeting that I'm talking about, the original meeting in April, we talked about a draft compensation philosophy, and that's coming to the full commission tonight. So that went through our committee. In June, the Finance Committee is going to discuss options for implementing the compensation study. That's options for how to do it, if we do it. The July meeting, then the July Commission meeting will have those options presented, and also possibly approve the gift policy. In the July Finance Committee, we're going to talk about the implementation of the compensation study, and in August, the August Commission would look at our recommendations. So anyway, we're trying to develop a flow, and so it's predictable what we're going to talk about. Those who are interested can come. We've decided to continue to meet. We've pretty much been meeting on Mondays, the third Monday of the month at 3 o'clock at Central Branch. The problem is, of course, the library's closed and the public can't get in. But we're going to add a thing at the top of the agendas when they're posted that any member of the public, of course, is welcome and can come in through the back door of the library, and there's a reception person there. So that is pretty much going to be our schedule. We're going to stick with that unless the commission date changes, then we have to change our finance committee date. Let's see. I had something else to add here. I covered myself up here. We then briefly discussed the monthly financials and the draft budget, and I believe that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission regarding the Finance Committee's report? Are there any questions from the public regarding the Finance Committee's report? Let's move to the Director's Evaluation Committee.
The Director's Evaluation Committee met April 13th following our all-day meeting. No action was taken. We will be meeting May 11th and June 1st as well.
Thank you. Moving along to the Public Relations Committee.
This was the first meeting of the Public Relations Committee. There was not a quorum present, so discussion was held, but there were no actions taken. Some of the discussion revolved around the subcommittee's purpose, which I'll briefly set forth here: to develop, promote, and protect the library's brand, to raise awareness of the library's value to the community, to build strong, supportive relationships with library staff and patrons, library advisory boards, friends of the library, library foundation, community members, businesses, and government officials. Then we had a brief discussion about marketing. We had public comment from Dan Mullen and also from Terry Price. We looked at some of the marketing materials that are currently distributed. Again, no actions were taken there. What are some of the unique features that our library has to offer, and who might some of the audiences that we might market to were also discussed. But again, no actions were taken.
Any questions from the commission? Thank you. I'm glad you've met. Any questions or comments from the public? All right. Revenue Enhancement Committee. Reese is camping.
The Revenue Enhancement Committee met April 21st. The committee members are Commissioner Foxen, May, Garcia, McKenzie, and myself. We had two main items to discuss at that meeting, and in reverse order. They were whether or not to go forward with Commissioner Foxen's suggestion that the Revenue Enhancement Committee become a subcommittee of the Finance Committee. And after some discussion, we voted not to do so and to remain a standing committee with perhaps a quarterly meeting schedule. The second item for discussion was a recommendation regarding putting another tax measure on the ballot and offering direction to library staff regarding that. And the committee voted to move forward with recommending that we direct library staff to begin a work plan for preparing a tax measure for November. And I believe that's on our agenda for this evening.
Thank you. Again, yes.
I thought I was on that committee. I did not know about that meeting. So I don't know who.
That would be Reese.
Yeah.
We will check.
Okay. Thank you.
Reese, Commissioner Foxen, Commissioner May, Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner McKenzie, and myself. And we filled out a form saying when we could be there.
I think we had a what's it called?
Doodle.
No, the other one.
No, it was a doodle.
A doodle. All right. Moving along, is there any public comment regarding the Revenue Enhancement Committee? All right. Let's go to the approval of the minutes. Are there any amendments before we approve or changes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
Aye.
One abstention and one absence. All right. Correspondence and press coverage. Did we have a folder on today? No? All right. There are two binders, but there's no press. Oh, okay. Let me make a note here. All right. Nothing is on the consent calendar, so now we move on to the action items by motion. Item 11 point. Let me get. 11.1 is the approval of the budget, 2015-16 budget. We had the budget workshop last month, and I would like to take this minute to thank the staff and people that were involved in making this budget. I know that that's been a strong focus for the last few months, and appreciate all the work and thought that went into it. So thank you very much, particularly Brett and Ken, but I think the rest of the staff was involved also. So thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we, I'll second that.
Okay, did you get that? All right. Is there any discussion about the budget? We discussed last time. Any questions, comments from the commissioners? Any questions or comments from the public? All right. All those in favor of approving the budget as proposed?
Aye.
Against? Any abstentions? All right, we move along. Tax measure. This is a case of where we are going to be taking an action to approve the going forward, looking into the possibility of a tax election in the future. And one of the members of the commission has requested that he be able to put forward, in essence, a draft that's a little different from the writing here. And we can either put this item on the agenda and amend it, or we can listen to David's suggested motion and move from there.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the Revenue Enhancement Committee. And as I think we can all recognize the need for new revenues, I think we also need to be sensitive to what the broader community might be thinking. And I think we have a little bit more work to do in that regard. I like the steps that we're taking, but like I said, I think there are people in the community, constituents in the community, key stakeholders that we need to be aware of, seek input from. And so rather than the rather specific motion that is here, I think I'd like to make a motion that is amended thus. I move that the Sonoma County Library Commission direct library staff, as this one certainly does, to work with libraries support groups and I think those are library support groups including the Foundation, library advisory boards, friends groups, as well as other members of the community, and that we direct library staff to work with those groups in the community and to explore new sources of revenue to meet our library system needs, and that we continue to ask staff to seek input and also to seek outside help as necessary and within budget constraints to find the best solution to revenue enhancement. I'm not sure that, and this of course isn't part of the motion, this is my comment.
Yeah, let's stick with the motion for the time being.
All right, then I move that the Sonoma County Library Commission direct library staff to work with the library support groups, including the Foundation, the advisory boards, and friends groups, as well as other members of the community, to explore new sources of revenue to meet our library system needs, and that library staff seek outside help for this effort at the discretion of the director, but within confines of existing tight budgetary decisions.
Second.
All right. I would like to hear, basically, I would like to hear comment and discussion about that. Are people clear about what is being said here? My impression is that instead of saying, let's move forward, let's give Brett and the staff the direction of moving forward with tax initiative in 2016. What we're saying is, let's give Brett direction to explore revenue enhancement issues, including incorporating the other constituencies in making that decision. Right?
That's correct, and it obviously doesn't exclude a tax measure, but what other options are there out there, and what is the best option to enhance the library's revenues.
Okay, do people understand the motion? Do we have somebody who has written it down explicitly so I can hear the words explicitly?
Hopefully our note taker has.
Do we have words explicitly written down?
I took some notes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have my notes here.
Okay.
So
All right. I'd like to open it
those.
for discussion, and one of the parts of where I'd like discussion is staff. I'd like to ask Brett directly, does this give you enough of a direction for you to operate as you would like to operate?
I feel that it does, yes.
Okay. All right. Are there any, is there discussion? Joanne?
Thank you. I seconded because I wanted to get discussion, so that's why I seconded the motion. And I have some concerns about going down one narrow path toward just a tax measure on the 2016 ballot, as is indicated on tonight's agenda, because primarily because of some significant roadblocks that may interfere with that, and that is that sales tax ceiling that, as far as I know, is yet to be resolved. And that issue and that's a legislative issue at the state level that we really have we have influence, but we have limited control over. So we could have all the support in the world and the vote as we could have last time and not have been able to collect the revenue, as I recall. So I'd like to get that. That's a pretty major hurdle that I think we need to overcome. And I support other ideas and the pursuit of them, specifically grants. And this motion that's on the floor would enable staff to pursue that as well. And so that's why I'm supporting it. I'd also like to know what the outcome of, I believe it's Measure A for the roads in June, does to that whole sales tax ceiling issue. I don't recall how those things played together, but I like the motion. I like the alternative because it does not eliminate the option of a 2016 tax initiative, but it gives us other options.
Barbara, I have
Yes, I'm fine with the amended motion. I did want to say a couple of things. One is it's getting pretty late in the day for us to still be wavering about whether we're going to pursue a tax measure. I agree with Joanne. That's going to be interesting to see what happens with the roads tax, and that was my topic number 2. I've mentioned this to several people, but the advertising that I'm constantly getting in the mail is about the, quote, roads tax. And all of the materials say it's a roads tax. All the Press Democrat articles say it's a roads tax. All the headlines are it's a roads tax. It's really not a roads tax. It's a general sales tax measure that only requires 50% plus 1. And so I also am very curious about the success of this measure in June and how this passes. But I think that this is, I would like to go back to the idea someplace. I'd like to explore the idea of us having a general sales tax if our JPA is not eligible. I understand that our JPA can put sales tax measures on the ballot. We're empowered to do that. Probably a specific sales tax, specific one, which requires the 2/3. But if we could work through the county in the same way that this is being presented, I think then you only have a 50% barrier to try to jump over. So I talked a little bit with Brett with this idea, and when the Revenue Enhancement Committee meets again, maybe we could have some representatives from the county come and talk to us about this possibility. It's an interesting approach, and so I think we should look into it. So I'm okay with that. I do feel that, those of us who were on the Measure M committee were, totally under the gun because we had 3 months to go from ground zero to the election. And so everything we was heard was you have to start early, and you have to build your coalitions, and you have to build your relationships, and start early. And now we're 6 months later, so we no longer have 2 years to do it. Now we're down to a year and a half. So, I'm not sure at what point in time we are going to push for this. That's my concern. Thank you very much.
Would just that idea that you expressed about this measure A would fall under the context, David, that you are presenting here in your you're just looking at other possibilities. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I think that's a fair statement.
And Brett, you said that you're comfortable with that as a model. Thank you.
Do you have anything to add, Brett? Okay. Any other? Yeah.
I support the idea of looking at other revenue sources, certainly. My concern is that we be careful not to muddy the water, so to speak. We wanted to give direction to Brett to look at the different issues related to a tax measure, and if we wait too long to specifically start looking at that, we may put ourselves right back in the same situation. I certainly don't have an issue with looking at any revenue source that we can get, but I want to be sure that we're clear about whether we do or do not want to consider a tax measure.
Tim? Okay, I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
I have just a couple of additional comments around why I made this motion. And one of those is not to delay. And so I will have a question for you, Brett, about when do you think your task force or group will have a recommendation of some kind for us. And also one of the things is I think that we need, when we make a decision, and I think we are directing staff with this motion to gather the necessary information now to move forward, is that we need to be all in. We need to have all of our supporters all in. And we need to make sure we know who those people are, who those organizations are, so that when we go all in, we have a much better chance of reaching a high voter threshold, if that's what we need to do, or any other sort of threshold that we need to reach. So this is not to, I don't make this motion in the spirit of delay of any kind. I make it in the spirit of making sure that we, the Commission, library staff, and our community constituents and supporters can go all in and can go all in together for success.
You were going to say?
I have a question. Sorry, Brett. You'll get a chance to speak, really. So I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused about this, and I'm not objecting to it, and I do agree with Joanne about the sales tax cap being a hindrance, and that it'd be nice to know that there's some movement forward on that. But it seems like the Revenue Enhancement Committee has been working for some months now, and the task force too, and I'm just wondering why when it seemed like they were ready to go forward with a recommendation. So those are things you could answer.
Well, I can't speak for the Revenue Enhancement Committee, but the task force that I put together does meet weekly, and right now we are gathering information from the community in that. I don't feel that at this point, we had decided that a sales tax versus a parcel tax is, the right fit. But, this conversation tonight is helpful to me because I do want to know that I have your permission to continue to explore this and to, bring recommendations forth, because I would feel like I'm starting to, get off into the weeds if I felt like, the work I was doing every week wasn't through the direction of the commission. But I don't know. I can't really speak to the work of the Revenue Enhancement Committee.
But you're essentially... I think part of what I'm hearing a little bit about is, do you have an idea of a timeline when you may come to us and say, here's what we've decided, and so we need you to say, yes, let's go for a parcel tax, or yes, let's go for a sales tax? Do you have an idea how long that process may take?
Well, in the management report, I mentioned that, I signed a contract with someone, and it's Dan Mullen that some of you met tonight, to help me put together a work plan in the next 30 days that kind of lays out what lies ahead for the rest of this year. So I think I'll have a much clearer idea very quickly, kind of the sequence of things and when I'll need to come before you with recommendations.
Okay. And one other quick question. Any update on the ceiling? The tax
cap lift?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I spoke to the county folks, the county administrator and that, they did say that they've set that aside for the rest of this year, and that they'll pick up their efforts again next year with the tax cap lift.
So I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
So can we try to move forward on that? I mean, we can contact our legislators directly and push them forward. I think that, there are people in the legislature that support the library, and
yeah, I asked that
is
question.
There something that is preventing us from doing that?
Well, I asked that question of county staff, and they said that they didn't see any reason why, the push couldn't come from the commission, the JPA, because it's really, finding someone in the legislature to champion the effort. But we'd want to double check with county council and see if they give us that same advice. But it does seem as if the effort could be led by you.
And I have one question about sales versus parcel, because we had done polling that indicated it was a sales tax was more amenable to the voters than a parcel tax. And the argument that we get such a huge influx of visitors to Sonoma County that would help support the library through a sales tax actually had me change my mind on the parcel versus sales tax. Is there new information that is having you think a parcel tax is better?
As part of the budget that you approved tonight, there is funding for us to, do some more community polling in the fall to ask that question.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say one thing. When I know we have a new JPA, but it seemed logical and in our best interest to work with the Board of Supervisors on whatever we go forward to do that. So I know we can go by ourselves here on it, but I just to keep that thought going that we should be working. I know you're talking to county council, but with the supervisors themselves, I think would seem to be a smart move. So just wanted to put that.
Yeah, Wanda, go ahead.
Well, I think last time we were still under their umbrella, and that's why they were willing to do that and foot the bill for putting it on the ballot. But I don't know. You've been talking to them.
Yeah, I probably see the county administrator once a month or so, but I have to admit I haven't brought up the possibility of them, sponsoring a bill for us again. I haven't spoken about that. One thing I've talked to them about is I try to track if they are, looking to bring forth any type of general tax that, we might be a partner with. I know that for a while there was talk of some type of early education type general tax that they might partner with other agencies. So Ken and I went over there and chatted with them about that. So I do try to track what they're thinking about.
Other commission chimes in?
I just have, I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
In terms of timing, you'd mentioned a 30-day work plan window, and when that 30 days might be up. And I guess, again, part of the reason for this motion is to let that work plan process play out so that we make informed, good decisions.
I would think that the work plan should be in place by early June.
Other questions?
I'll drop mine.
Go ahead. Any public comment regarding this item? Yes.
I'm sorry, this is my, I have a really bad knee, I can't manage the steps.
There's a speaker, there's one back there.
Okay, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, my name is Cheryl Brown. I'm just a member of the public that has been a very dedicated library patron all of my life. I'd like to know how long it takes to get this measure on the ballot. And I'm sorry if this is old hat to you, but it's new to me, and I would like to do what I can to support the library in this.
Thank you. I don't know that we can specifically answer that in the meeting, but we'll get to you with that answer.
Okay, and I'm just curious as to what is the last date that it could, I don't know what is involved in qualifying it for the ballot, whatever is chosen.
Yeah, we'll be happy to give you that answer.
Okay.
I don't have it at the top of my head, but there is an answer and we can tell you it.
Okay.
Thank you. And if you leave before the meeting's over, if you can just give us an email or something, we'll get it to you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Moving on to the discussion items. The first one is the director's report.
Good evening, everybody. I'll highlight a few things from the management report. One of the things that I worked on, mostly with our CFO this month, was working with the Finance Committee to draft a compensation policy that you all were considered tonight. But I think with such a policy in place, it would help guide the staff as we prepare compensation recommendations to the Finance Committee and the Commission in response to the recent compensation study. Other news, we're about 2/3 of the way through our financial planning process, so now the staff is going to get to work on the themes that have emerged from the community conversations, and we should have a written plan in June or July. The staff work group's going to meet all day this Friday to really try to start to get a written document together, so I should finally have a tangible product that I can share with you in the next few days versus lists of just general ideas. A revised gift policy will come to you next month, and we'll share that with the Finance Committee at their next meeting before it comes to you, but that's well underway. As I said in the management report, I did sign a 30-day contract with the local marketing expert, Dan. I know he's contacted some of you, but he's really helping me again, get together a work plan, let us know what needs assessment we need to do, but really help us kind of launch a public information marketing campaign for the rest of the year so that we do a better job of letting our community know the wonderful services we provide now and hear more from them about what things they'd like us to do in the future. And then I agree, we had a very successful All-Staff Day on April 3rd. I want to thank those of you that were able to attend. And I, too, am very proud of the workshops that the staff put together and presented. I think they did a great job. So that's what I had for you. Any questions for me?
Thank you for all your good stuff. I wanted to ask you about the IDEA team.
Yeah.
I thought that sounded like such a great idea. And I was wondering how kind of broadly representative it was and whether all the branches were represented and how the people were selected. Just a little more about that. Sounded like a great idea.
Yeah, thank you. It was something that I did when I was a director in Florida. It occurred to me one day that librarians are very good. We're kind of good. We're good at guessing what problems might arise from trying something new. So sometimes we can create a cons list that's much longer than the pros list. So when I was in Florida, I just really wanted staff to have an opportunity to share ideas with me and not get into the negatives, but just kind of hear some what ifs. And I had a lot of fun with that group in Florida. So when I started here, I knew it was something I wanted to do. So I just sent an email out to staff describing the concept and just asked people to email me if they were interested. And I actually had 30 or 40 folks that wanted to participate. So I just kind of handpicked the team that meets in person, and they are from all different locations and work units. And then there's a virtual team that we chat amongst ourselves on email. But we had our first meeting, and it was fun.
Well, along those lines, at All Staff Day, that one of the really good, well, they were all good, but that section on getting to yes was, about changing the culture, just what you're talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions or comments? I hate to be dense, but I can't help it. I would like to understand where we are in the strategic plan process. We've gathered all the data, and the consultants are meeting with staff. How big is that group?
How big is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about, maybe about 12 folks.
Okay. And essentially, this is all day Friday. Right. And you're going to take all the data and then come up with the unifying features,
So how it's playing out is when we went to the community, we really asked them for themes. So do you want to see the library become a place of youth education or a technology-rich place? Do you want to encounter welcoming staff? So they set these high-level expectations. And now we're turning those over to the staff and basically having them write an organizational work plan that supports those things. So if we say that we want to provide an excellent customer experience, then a goal might be to develop a customer service training program that trains staff around those things. And so the staff are actually fleshing out the things that we'll do to support the priorities that the community said that are important to them.
And so who's developed those community summaries of what their points are?
Well, the results group went through all of that response from the community, and we have about 5 themes that emerged. I revealed those at Staff Day. I can share my presentation from Staff Day with you all.
That didn't get there. Okay. Yeah. So basically, the meeting on Friday is putting meat on the bones.
Right, exactly.
And the skeleton's already built.
Yeah.
And in terms of timeline, we have we'll be getting a draft within like June or July.
It's in May or June that we'll review the draft here, and because you're the ones that will adopt the plan.
Okay, and is the data available? See, one of my issues with this whole thing is it's a balance, and I feel it all the time. I know what libraries are, but I don't know what libraries can be per se.
Right.
I'm trying to learn. Right. And so when we've had input in the focus groups, I'm sorry to take so much time on this, folks, but we've had input on the focus groups, and most of them have been community. There have been staff inputs, but essentially it's people who know what libraries are and are telling what they want more of in what libraries are. So it's my hope that there is some way in a strategic plan that the direction of what libraries can be is also partly there. And I'm wondering how that gets there.
I would say that, again, we tried through the community groups not to ask people, what do you want the library to do? But what values are important to the community. So that's where you get maybe youth education and things like that.
Right,
and then I do rely on the staff then to have, I guess, the foresight to know what services you place under that priority. So that's why I think the staff do need to step up, because I think that's what the staff are for. They understand library services, whereas the public told us, again, those broad categories that are important to them. Anybody's welcome to look at the data, but what I keep telling folks right now is it's literally like word lists. So if the consultants went to Sebastopol, there might be 10 pages of notes.
I was there.
And that's where Friday will be important, that we start to actually, get a first draft document created.
Okay. Any other questions about Go ahead, Paul.
Well, one of the comments I'd make was that there was a comment about some of the, and this was from you, Tim, that basically you were asking questions of the choir. That was like already the people that use the library. Well, in my case, I don't know about everybody else, but I went a long ways to get people that were non-library users to attend that meeting. And I would say that that was 90% of the people that attended at Healdsburg. And that was a lot of bush beating to get that to happen. And so those were the people, in my opinion, the people,
we don't serve.
That we don't serve. And if that's who we want to hear from, because that's the people we want to penetrate, in addition to what can we become.
Okay.
I think the focus groups, too, did a nice job of kind of bringing in a more diverse viewpoint, because we had electeds in one, and then we had the heads of nonprofits at another, and they were certainly bringing up things that we hadn't seen before from the community groups, which, you're right, they were made up of a lot of folks that love libraries.
Barbara?
I've mentioned this several times, and it may just be in my head and not a practical reality, but I'm still hoping that out of the strategic plan process, there's this clarity on the labs in particular and the role of the friends. And it sounds like we're talking kind of like about what the library should be without necessarily making that connection to those, really important groups. And I just hope that doesn't get lost. And thank you.
Other questions from commissioners?
I was just going to ask about the committee. You said there's 12 people on the committee, and is it representing the entire system?
Yeah, that was important to me because, if we're going to say that we're going to be great around customer service, there's all different parts of the organization that have to contribute to that. Our webpage has to be very good. And so, yes, I tried to make the group very cross-departmental.
Thank you. I would just like to request that if there are any more outreach meetings like the ones that were requested with the, we had a letter sent to us to send to local electeds to attend a meeting. There were a series of meetings held here at Central here in Santa Rosa last week, I think. Anyway, if there are any more similar meetings, that we try to have one held in Sonoma Valley, because we haven't had any physical meetings in Sonoma Valley, and sometimes being, I know we have other methods for Valley residents and other libraries who haven't had an opportunity.
There aren't any more scheduled.
But in case something comes up in the process, keep us in mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Other comments about the management report? Thank you, Brett. I have a couple, of course, but if anybody else has something.
I just want to compliment the pursuit of the marketing initiative for the rest of the year. I think it's a great idea.
Other comments? I would like to comment on. It's nice to see that we're at 60 to 65% done on the budget and finance procedures. That's nice. Thank you. And that we're also instituting the safe workplace procedures is really wonderful to read. I kind of wish that the financial statement was after this, so I can read it in reverse, but I love this document. Kathy's not here, but this talk story cultural item sounds really exciting. I've also checked in, and several branches are doing food, which is wonderful. And I'm interested, I was really pleased that the collection manager is getting out and getting input from the different branches. That's nice to see also. Any other things?
I was just going to ask about the extra help new hires, because all of the new hires are extra help, so it struck me as a little curious, and I just wondered about the hours and
So we have an ongoing need for extra help staff, and we have a habit of taking our former extra help employees and promoting them to permanent and full-time positions. So we're constantly in need of trying to replenish those ranks, and that's what you see in the staffing report. We just recently brought on board, started the orientation for both librarian and library associate extra help staff, and that's also due to the requests of the branch managers to help them in their staffing needs for short-term absences. And you'll be seeing some more probably over the next month or two, but for the Tech 3 classification. Because again, we are pulling from our Tech 3 subs who become library associates and librarians, so constantly having to replenish those pools of individuals.
And the recruitments are going okay?
They're going well, even since you received this report. As was mentioned earlier, we did appoint Kate Keaton to be the Northwest Branch Manager. We are having interviews next week for the History and Genealogy Librarian. I think we have 7 candidates that we'll be interviewing. We recently extended an offer for the full-time Library Tech 3 position at Central, and we anticipate within this week, next week, that we'll have successfully filled the other Tech 3 openings. So things are moving along fairly rapidly. We do have a challenge with IT and budget and finance, but we're continuing to press forward on those.
Thank you, Patrick.
Barbara? Oh,
Yes.
excuse me, Paul.
Well, in that whole vein, so what's going on with replacing the Healdsburg, replacing Bo Simons?
Sorry, I failed to mention that one. We are expecting to post that one, if not the end of this week, probably next week. We've met recently to just review some of the expectations for that position, particularly in light of the special relationship that branch manager has with the wine library. So you can expect to see something here shortly on that one, as well as we had several good candidates for the Northwest position, so we have also put the word out there that, to keep their eye open for the Healdsburg opening.
Thank you. Barbara?
Yes, I wanted to comment. I'm really so happy that David Dodd is going out to the branches and meeting with the librarians or the branch managers and discussing their collections. I think I mentioned this the last time, but anyway, I'm really happy about that. And I know David brought up the fact that, we're all real interested in statistics and trends and where things are going. And so I think this is really important. I'm looking forward to David's report in the future, what he finds out. Thank you.
How many of our branch managers are new in the last year?
Last year, when Nancy, Joe. I think it's 3.
We've got Joe, we've got
Nancy Sampson in Guerneville, Tracy Gray at Central.
and then we'll have a new person in Northwest, basically.
Yes.
And a new person in
Healdsburg.
So, I just call attention to that for a couple of reasons. One of them is it's an interesting fact that half of the branch managers essentially are new, and also an awareness of thanking Keo and you for the work that's involved in making that happen. That a branch manager just doesn't open the door and take over a branch. There's training, there's searching, and appreciating that process. That's half of the libraries. That's not a small task. Thank you. Anything else? No? All right. Moving along to the performance management document, 12.2.2. Any questions or comments from the commissioners about this? No? We seem to be having had this report for many months now. It seems like 90% is about where it gets to. Is that true, Patrick? I mean, is that...
Well, I think the reason you're seeing it there is due primarily to some of the turnover that's happened over the last year and a half. And it's taken a while for us to fill some of those positions. And that's where some of the delay is in terms of getting those up to speed. It takes a while for a manager to get acquainted with their staff, determine what the expectations are. A prime example is the central library manager position has been in transition for almost a year, and Tracy just started. We thought it would be nice to give her at least 3 months to get to know her staff before she starts, putting any of those work plans in place. So it's just some scenarios like that that's causing the number to hover around 90% and not make any significant improvement. But we're hopeful, and we have certainly reviewed with these individuals the expectations in terms of performance management, and that's a priority item for them. So I have high hopes that we'll break that 90% barrier. It still is probably going to take us a couple more months, partly because you look at Tracy, she has 17 direct reports currently. So it takes a while to make your way. And I'm not suggesting she's the only reason for that number, but it's time intensive, and it does take a while to make your way through that process. So
my only concern is that there's 10% not being done. I mean, the class is more than half full. When I went to college, 90 was an A. But what I'm wondering about is it the same 10% that isn't getting their performance review done? And if 17 of them are at the library, at the central, that's a good chunk of that. But that's my only concern. I mean, if it's a variable and this, but if 10% of the staff for a long time hasn't had their performance review, that does not seem appropriate. Is there any other comment about the performance review number? Okay. Moving right along to the monthly financial report. Ken, you want to give us a little rundown here?
Sure. These financials are for the month end of March. So 3/4 of the way through the budget year. And you'll see that right now we're through March, we're operating at a deficit. That's because the April tax payment will come in, and that thing will, the deficit will swing quite a ways the other way come the end of April. So that's there. There was only one payment over the $25,000 that requires reporting, and that was the PG&E bill, as you'll see down there at the bottom of page 25. It was, other than that, there's nothing huge to really point out. I did put together on page 31 kind of a general budget process, dates as we move forward. We just passed the one this year, but looking forward to next year, just to give a general outline of where we'll be going with that and when things will be coming to the Finance Committee and to the full commission. And, so wanted to make sure to point that out to everybody. And if you have any questions or would like to see any changes with that, you can just let me know either tonight or anytime via email or stop in the office. Other than that, nothing really to report. Any questions?
I had a question about the process, the document on page 31.
Right.
It's not a part of the budget process, but when is the audit in here?
Oh, well, the audit would be, the field work is usually done, I believe, the first part of August. And off the top of my head, I think then he would have the draft ready for, it should be the October commission meeting. But the field work is usually in August, and that's when the bulk of the work is done by staff and the auditor.
Okay.
I just had a quick question. This year, our commission meetings got changed quite a bit because of some reason. I think it had to do with the financials or the audit or something like that. Do we anticipate in this new schedule that we'll be doing that again, or? I can't remember why we changed them many times, but it was really...
I'm not sure why they were changed throughout the months. No matter when the meetings are, I think this is the process that we would stay to as far as the annual budget goes. Now, as whereas the meetings fall within the month, I would expect they would be at the beginning of the month like they normally have been going forward.
Good, thank you.
Other questions about the financial report and the budget policy? All right. Thank you, Ken. Any public comment so far about any of the director's report, the management report, any of those things? All right. We're now ready to move ahead to the discussion regarding alternate schedule. Talk about timing. That's deep. All right. This is an item that I requested we put on the agenda. And the packet contains some of the information that's been presented about this topic at different meetings. But I believe at our last meeting where we formally discussed this topic, we essentially said we were not going to take a position until we had the tax election results. And we have had the tax election results. And so I think it's important that we as a commission discuss the issue of opening the libraries on Monday. And my framework for that is that I would like to discuss it within the framework of no more money and no more staff. That basically what the results were from the tax election is we have what we have. And so the issue, I think, I'll go quickly through the idea of having similar standards for our schedule, every library with the exception of Central being open on the same schedule, was partly because there was a belief in the possibility of shared staffing. So that if a library, so therefore we wouldn't need as much extra help. And if a library were low on one day, they could call, if Petaluma was low, they could call Rohnert Park and they would send somebody down there. And it was pretty clear that that didn't work. And so that was the essential reason for having every library on the same on the same schedule. There are other reasons that being open, there are other problems that would be raised on opening libraries on Monday, but basically the original premise didn't work. So the question that I see that the commission, I would like to have the commission chime in on, is somebody, and it's us, needs to say to the staff and the public, we can't be open on Mondays. We're sorry. Here's what we are going to do. Or, staff, we think it's important that within the 40 hours there be library services available in the county on Monday. And we need you to figure out a way that is the most possible to make that happen. And I think that we're in a limbo, and that basically the staff needs us to decide. And I don't know that tonight's the night to decide, or whether or not, but I am encouraging that we hear how the commission thinks about this. And I see it as hopefully if we're veering off in our thinking, that if there's information that the staff has that they can chime in for us on, that would be useful as we go through it. But I would like us to have a chance to discuss this issue. And there are some phrases that come to mind that I won't use in the public meeting, but basically that we make a decision, okay? And so who would like to start?
I just want a clarification of what decision you would like us to make.
I would like us to decide either. We're sorry community, we're sorry public. We think what we have as a schedule now is the most workable schedule for the library. Or a decision that would be, we think there should be library hours on Monday. There are all kinds of ways that could happen. We could have sister libraries. We could have 3 libraries open to just provide services. Or we could have a short hour every day in the library services and put those on Monday. Or we could have 4 hours on Friday and 4 hours on Monday. There's a whole bunch of different ways that staff would be directed to do to make Mondays happen. But the decision is yes or no on Mondays. Is that clear? Okay. Yeah, let's, and I, if people want to pass, feel free, but shall we start down here?
My concern in all of this is the impact on library staff. They're already stretched thin. I don't quite see how this can happen without hiring more staff or adding staff. People already don't have one of their weekend days. I don't want to see people with their days off scattered across the work week. So that's my concern.
I think it would be very confusing if different libraries were open different days with different hours.
I echo what the last 2 commissioners have said. And I realize this is just for under discussion. We don't need to make any action right now.
Right.
Thank you.
I would like to see libraries open on Monday. Having listened for several years to public comment, I think the issue that made it come for me is the fact that as a library system, we provide services for people who don't have jobs and don't have access. And the fact that all of our libraries are closed on Mondays when the job listings come out means that we're not serving the public in a way that we should. I realize deeply, and I think it's part of what's in people's mind, that it will not be easy for staff to do it, and that our staff is thin and doing the best they can. I'll also say that prior to the cutback in hours, people had weekends every other weekend in most scheduling. And that also basically included, as I understand it, that people could be with their families on Saturday and Little League Day and all of that, which everybody has to work every Saturday now. If I were to vote today, I would say staff give us Mondays somehow. That's where I am.
I second that, and I just want to say that the Sebastopol Library Advisory Board periodically holds public forums and asks people's opinions on various things. And last year they did a public forum where this was the subject of the public forum, and there were a lot of different ideas that people had. I think staggered hours throughout the system is something that we should try. I think I heard from high school students who said, I need the library on Mondays too, somewhere. If there could just be a library somewhere on a Monday that I could access, it would be very helpful. And on more hours on Saturdays, because that's when I need to study. So I think that there's ways to slice this, and I would really I think we had this discussion a few months back, and at that time there was some discussion about seeking information from other library advisory boards as to their opinions on this, and I'd like, if that's I believe that's something that should happen. I would like to see staff come up with a report on how this could happen throughout the county. I think that there are ways to do it so that people get consecutive days off. And we have added, this commission just approved a budget that will have additional money in extra help, I believe, in the next fiscal year. So I think it's important to the public. I think it could be a little confusing, the hours, but if we prominently display the hours and, whether that's a big banner on each building as to what the hours are, and have it in big red letters on the website, I think people will figure it out, and the people that really want to use it will use it on those open hours. So I support it.
I support libraries being open on Monday.
Yeah, I also support libraries being open on Monday. I like the idea of finding a way to do it without capital expenditures. So I support it within that context.
I have two things I need to know before I say what I want to do. And that is, I need to have an idea of, now that the full-time staff have Sunday, Mondays off, I'm wondering how many people this would affect by changing to this other schedule that I cannot get my mind around how to do that and have people have consecutive days off. So I'm wondering about the full-time people, how many people's schedules would be affected by how many people would end up with these split days off. And the other thing I need to know is on the JPA requiring equitable hours, how restrictive is that clause in there? I guess I should go back and read it. But, I don't know if, again, whether we're talking about having some branches open on Mondays and some not. But I just read in this presentation, to kind of be aware of this equitable hours provision. And I don't know exactly what that means. Thank you.
David. I think I'll pass right now.
Being that we're talking about libraries, I just want to say Stone Soup. Do you remember the book Stone Soup? Mm-hmm. It just seems like we're trying to get money out of a stone here. Yes, I want to have 7 days a week. I want the library to be open on Monday. And it seems like looking at the budget and looking at the backfill and the total hours, we probably could do it this year. We could stretch it. But again, I'm reading this, it's depending that our revenue is going to go up next year and continue it. And I think it would be in the long run, a disservice to open on Monday and then have to rescind that next year because we don't have enough money to keep it going.
Well, it wouldn't be, okay.
Well, that's what I mean, I don't know if it would be another one. And I did want to bring up the equity issue too. With the new JPA, if we have one branch open on Monday, the way I read it is all branches have to be open on Monday. So again, it's hard. Yes, I want the libraries open on Monday, but I think the cold hard fact is it's going to be a stretch to do it. So.
Okay, if I can just take a minute here and think about where we are. 4 of us said, right? 4 of us have said we want to, but One of us has abstained. Is that the way it's looking? And Barbara hasn't decided yet. Okay. Brett, you want to? Okay. Go ahead.
If I'm remembering the 2 things you asked, unless I'm not thinking correctly, I would imagine that it would affect all frontline library staff, a change of schedule. Now, I have worked in organizations where they did have staggered hours, so a library might be closed on a Thursday or that, and then what the manager does is they write a rotating schedule where 1 week you might have off Thursday and Sunday, and then the next week you would have off Saturday and Sunday, and you just schedule that Saturday then a little leaner than your other days, and you rotate the staff through that Saturday so that either every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or such, everyone does get 2 days off back to back. So it can be done. Again, I'm sure it would have an impact on staff morale, so that's one thing to consider. And then what was your second? Oh, the JPA. The way I've interpreted the JPA, it's the total number of open hours a week, and then I've always understood Central to be considered an other, and our 2 small satellite libraries, but that the rest of our libraries have to be open the same number of hours a week, but not necessarily the same schedule of hours.
You have some questions? Okay.
And my comment is I'm for opening on Mondays. I think it's really important, but I want to look at all the other issues, and one of them being staff morale, and the other, what would the budget look like, and if the budget stays the same and things like that. But I think Mondays are real important. I just don't see doing it out of this budget, but in general, and I don't want to take away what you're describing. I think will really affect morale. Thanks.
When I presented to you all back in, I think it was November, I had a few different scenarios to add Mondays as additional hours. I can't see a way to do that without a significant jump in the budget. So I would want us to add staff if we were to add Mondays. But if we were to, again, spread our hours out differently Monday to Friday to where some locations or all locations had some Monday hours, then we should be able to do that at no or little cost, because it's just having people just work different hours during the week. If we were to add more Saturday or Sundays, I think that would have a budget impact too, because we may not have all the support personnel in place on Saturday and Sunday to support an increase in hours. But again, we should be able to stagger our Monday through Friday hours with little or no cost.
Excuse me. Are there any statistics on patron penetration per libraries on days like, say, Sunday, or there are? Okay, thank you.
Barbara, do you have a other question? Go ahead.
I do have a comment. I just needed a little more time to think, so thank you. Commissioner Heavenridge here, I think, Mondays would be wonderful. I also think it might be a little confusing. I too worry about staffing and staff morale. And I also think that, in one sense, our libraries are open on Mondays. We have a very robust electronic library system, so that if I want to order a book, I'm available. The library is available to me to do that on Mondays. And I do understand that there are certain people who don't have that opportunity, and how do we serve those people is a real concern, because they should be served like everyone else, all of our other patrons. So there's an equity issue there, not equity across libraries, but equity amongst our patrons. And I guess the last point that I would make about this is that it's what libraries would this best serve? If we consider a homeless population, let's just say, of patrons, which libraries are most affected by that or serve those particular patrons? Which libraries best serve job seekers potentially on a Monday? Is that all libraries? And I would then worry that if it's not all libraries, that some of our outlying libraries might not see the bump in service, or the bump in patronage that we were thinking about. I'm rambling a little bit, but it's a complex issue. But those are some of my thoughts and concerns.
I'm glad Barbara brought up the issue of the equity, because were we to be presented with models for opening libraries, I would use as a measure whether every library is getting 40 hours. And so that if we were to decide, for me, if we were to decide to have 3 libraries open on a Monday, that they would be closed another day to compensate for that, so that all the libraries have equitable hours. But that's why I understand. I think I understand that there are problems with being open one less hour every day and putting it on Monday, or doing 4 and 4. I believe I understand that in terms of issues with staffing, not staff morale, staff being thin. But the equity between libraries would be important to me were we to do that. But I think what I'm getting as a sense of the current commission at this point is that there are 1, 2, you don't know, I'm not counting you either way yet. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, am I counting you? No?
For Monday?
For Mondays,
Yeah.
within these
I
hours.
want to see the options.
So you would
Important Monday. I want to see how this is going to work out.
So you would like us to direct, if I can put words in your mouth, please.
Sure.
Tell me to get out of your mouth if they're not working.
I would like to direct staff, sure, we're going to be open on Mondays. How do you see doing it? For me, where's the buy-in to make any, there's a lot of little things that go with that, but I'd like to see what the ideas are. So
Okay.
I'll vote yes to see the ideas.
All right. Paul?
Yes, but I want to see it on Monday. I just don't see where we have the money in the budget to do it.
Okay. Barbara?
Same. I agree with what Paul just said, and what I understood the director to say, that virtually all of the full-time 40-hour-a-week people, virtually all of them would be affected by this, and they would all end up with not 2 days off together. Am I
Every
understanding
week.
that right? Routinely, you would not have 2 days off together if you were a 40-hour person.
You may have a regular 2-day off, but it might be every other week or
Right.
every third week, right?
They're not together, right? You don't get a 2-day weekend no matter what the 2 days are. Since it would affect everybody,
Well, what I mean is we would ask managers to write a schedule to where they would have 2 days off, but you might only get 2 days off in a row every other week.
all right. Well, I'm a 2 days off in a row believer, and so if that is the case, then I would vote no.
Paul?
More thing. I think that's really what it comes down to. We as a commission want to provide the community with 7 days a week in all the branches, and that's what they deserve. But also, I'm very mindful of the staff who is stretched and doing a great job with the hours that they have. And I just see this as, because we don't have the money in the budget, that we're going to ultimately put a burden on the staff of working more hours or working crazy hours. I mean, that sounds pretty crazy to me, trying to balance that. So that's why I would say until we have the money, I would vote against Mondays.
Okay, I'm hearing, there's a reason that we haven't decided this yet. It's not accidental that we haven't decided this yet, because it's not an easy decision. What I'm hearing is that some people are definitely saying, because of staff morale and staff scheduling, let's not mess with the system we have now. And I get the feeling that that's 3 of us, 4 of us, maybe 5. Is that where you are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of us are saying, well, 4 of us are saying, give us. One of us is saying, I'd like to wait and see. I'd like to direct the staff to present us with proposals. Is that correct? Am I summing up where we are? Okay, I'm going to now ask for public input. If there are any comments from the public. Look at that.
I brought a handout just for you. Hi, my name is Dina Bliss, and I'm with Sonoma County Save Our Libraries, and thank you for having me. Before I give out my handout, I want to explain what's in the handout, and the handout is largely derived from more than one conversation that I've had with Barbara over coffee and at the symphony and on the phone, trying to persuade her to my point of view. Not yet successfully, as you can tell tonight. So I brought you options, but before I give you the options, I want to explain what the paper means. Every single branch of the Sonoma County Library has what are considered minimum staffing levels, below which, if we drop below that, and it can't be filled by subs or it can't be filled by people from another library, the library closes for that day. And that hasn't happened in a lot of years. But when you get to see the piece of paper, I want you to understand what minimum staffing means. And when you look at it, the staffing that I've listed here are only the minimum staff. This doesn't represent everybody that works at each of the branches. There are lots more people, but minimum staffing is talked about in terms of librarians and Tech 3s. That's all that minimum staffing refers to. All the libraries, or most of the libraries, also have Tech 2s, and they have library... What's that other library? Library associates. So there are more personnel than are represented on this piece of paper. That's what minimum staffing means. Then I've also given you a column that shows you current staffing. I got the latest statistics from Patrick on current staffing at each of the branches, so you will have current staffing, again, only as to librarians and Tech 3s. Okay. Now, before I give you the piece of paper, which I'm quite crazy about because I've worked on it really hard for many days, I have a proposal. I have 2 proposals about how we can do this, where, Barbara, everybody gets 2 days off in a row every week of the year. Did you hear that, Brett? I want you with me because you're going to get a piece of this paper too. Okay, the first proposal is probably odious, and you will be rejecting it out of hand, and that's why I have a second backup proposal, which is less odious. So the first proposal is that Proposal A is 1/2 of the staff at each branch works Monday through Friday. 1/2 of the staff at each branch works Tuesday through Saturday. There's full staffing Tuesday through Friday. Okay? Everybody with me? And I'm expecting that a lot of people, especially Brett and the staff, will say, ew, that's a horrible idea. So here's the backup idea. And the backup idea is 1/2 of the branches are open with full staff Monday through Friday. 1/2 of the branches are open Tuesday through Saturday. Thank you. I'm done. Does she know how to talk fast? Okay, Mr. Liz, that's for you.
We have one.
If you have questions, we can do that.
Right.
Probably after if you're going to vote on it tonight, after vote. Do you have questions?
Do we have? Let's take a minute or 2 to look at it, and then if we have questions, we'll take some more time to ask the questions. I don't see half. Okay, there are the options.
I guess I have a comment, maybe a plea to those who are not quite ready to at least pursue this, that if you're a member of the public,
no question
right?
about that.
So if a member of the public can bring something forward that has us all looking at it, why wouldn't we want to direct staff to explore options such as the one that's presented to us that would staff Mondays without and still allow for consecutive days off?
And no shift in the budget.
Correct.
No additional expense.
So if it's,
Okay.
I just think that it deserves consideration.
I'm hearing a motion.
Tim, should I go sit down?
Pardon me?
Should I go sit down?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about this?
My question or comment would be, is there anything more you want to say about this? So you can start another 3 minutes. Or you're done.
I'm sorry, Linda, I didn't hear your question.
She said, is there anything more you'd like to add so you can start another 3 minutes?
Yes, I would like to beg you to find a way to open the libraries on Mondays so that people who do not have 24 access and broadband access to computers can look for jobs, can apply for jobs on Mondays, most of which are posted on Mondays. And so we put the population of this county at a huge disadvantage to not be open on Mondays for 4 years now. That's my plea. I have broadband, and I'm retired. So it's not for me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm hearing a proposal that maybe we can make a decision on today, and I don't know that I want to do it as a formal, I'll do it as a thumbs up, thumbs down. And the proposal is that we direct staff to present us with possible alternative schedules that will allow the libraries to be open with 2 consecutive days off for the entire staff and no budgetary cost, or extremely minimal. But basically, we are asking the staff to present us with that. Now, when they do that, we'll have, of course, have a chance to vote it yay or nay. But we will at least have more information and can make a decision. So can we have a thumbs up about direction to staff on that feature? to present us with a proposal. I believe that that is a majority.
If it's 2 consecutive days off.
Yeah, that was included in what I
I
said.
just wanted to say that one more time.
Okay. 2 consecutive days off. All right, so that is a direction to staff. Brett, did you get that? All right.
Whew. Could I ask a question of Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, now I know the staff gets to the library at least an hour before it officially opens and does things. I assume that's a paid hour. So while the library is open for 40 hours, they're being paid, there's a 45-hour payroll. Is that correct? Okay.
Staff are working 40 hours. Full-time equivalent's 40 hours, right?
Yes, but they're not there every day.
Well, okay, they're being paid for 40 hours a week. Their shifts go for a full 9 hours for most full-time staff because that includes a 1-hour unpaid meal break.
Okay.
All right. We've put that to rest. I appreciate the candid way people have dealt with this. I appreciate that it is a complex issue. If it were easy, we would have solved it 3.5 years ago. So thank you, and we'll see where we go from here. The next issue is one that I raised that people have heard me talk about. We have been meeting as a commission now for a year, as of August. And I would like to suggest that we have a workshop or a retreat or a planning session sometime in either July or August that involves many things. One of them is answering our questions about being a commissioner, what we've learned, reflection. Another aspect is goal setting for the commission. For example, what I mean by that is something like hanging over where we've been has been the issue of what is the role of a lab. And that may be something that we want to decide next year and spend some time on. So a retreat, a session. I've talked with Brett about this. Brett, can you tell me a little bit, chime in here about what some other bodies have done?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I just started talking to you about, developing a work plan for the commission. The last probably 2 public libraries I worked for had that, and it's just really, work that you as commissioners want to achieve, which is separate from, the goals of staff. So if March was the month where you all agree to contact your local elected officials and do this or that, but again, you set work and expectations for yourself to complete month to month. That's in addition to what staff was working on.
And I mean, we have from the JPA the list of our bucket list that we have accomplished some things on and that we haven't. So I'd like to know people chiming in on whether they think this is a good idea. And then I would like to invite 1 or 2 of you who are interested. Now, I'm not saying the C word here. But I would like to invite 1 or 2 of you who are interested to get together and start to plan and come up with a proposal for such a workshop or event. So how do people feel about doing this? Yes? 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 Okay, mostly yes.
I have a feeling that this means another day off of work, and I can't support that.
Okay, no.
So if it could happen at in lieu of a regular agenda on our Monday night meeting, I would support that.
Okay. All right. So all of us are saying yes. Is there anybody who would like to meet with me to begin to come to the commission with a proposal in either June or July. Okay. Anyone else interested? All right. Okay, we don't have a committee, but we have 2 other people interested. Very good. Lunch. Okay. All right, so it's Linda and Helena. All right, that was quick. Now we're coming to the compensation study, the compensation philosophy. And it's a proposed policy, and it's a discussion item. Are there any comments, questions about this proposed policy? Do you want to? Okay.
Last month, Coffin Associates presented the classification and compensation study, and one of the first steps they suggested in implementing the findings were to come up with a compensation policy. So the commission requested that the finance committee take a look at this, and they did at their last meeting, and they came up with the philosophy or policy that's in the commission packet. One of the last sentence in the policy is the one that has been discussed the most within staff and some of the commission members. And that percentage, well, I think the feeling is that there needs to be some restriction on it, a level that it can't go above, a cap, there you go. And it's ranged from 75% to 80%. It started out at 75%. I looked at some of the percentages on the projections and the projections show that we may be bumping up to 75% in a year or two. So then we put 80% in there just to kind of stay away from that. I don't think it would be a good thing if it ever reached 80%. Other services and facilities, everything would suffer if it got up to be that high. It is something that the commission staff have control over a little bit. Whether it's health care and how much that costs the library, the COLAs that come and go in the salary structure. So it is something that we have a bit of a control over. Some of the things, like the CalPERS percentage, we don't have a whole lot of control over. So that all goes into the mix there. So just wanted to lay that out there. 80% scares me, keeps me awake at night. But at the same, we put it in there so we wouldn't be coming back to the commission with the policy every year, and I'm not sure that that's a good thing or not, but it's something to think about.
As a member of the finance committee, I think it doesn't have to be a roundish number. It could be 77.
Yeah, it can be anything.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad idea to have this come back every year for the commission to consider.
Do you want to say that?
We're going into union negotiations, right?
Yes.
Right. To have 80% in a policy like that, I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
That's just my feeling.
Yeah.
And meditation sometimes works for sleeping.
You thought that was a good idea to have 80%?
No, she thinks it's a bad idea.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Barbara, I thought I saw you. Can you tell us a little bit what the discussion was in the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee, I think, really wanted to have a general, comprehensive, and not particularly real specific plan. That we wanted to treat people fairly and so forth. And I believe Patrick actually wrote the draft, and we were very pleased with it. We thought it was really good, and we added some things. We thought it ought to have some reference to the actual work performed, And that's the one that stands out that I remember we added, and which has been added here nicely. So anyway, that's mostly what we were looking at. And then, the problem is if, we're under these financial constraints, Paul pointed out that if you have a library has a whole lot more money, you're not going to get up this high. And so, we're in this particular situation that we're in. So we left it at 75%. Excuse me. And then we kind of got a last minute email from Ken. It was, oh my God, I realized we might be there. And so we don't want to be out of sync with our policy. And I don't think anybody thinks it's a good idea to spend 80% of our money on, staff and benefits. So I would be happy to be back at 75% with Ken needing to come to us. But I also don't want to add any stress to your life that you might, some month, wake up in the middle of the night, we're at, 75.6% and, blah, blah, blah. We need to have a special meeting. I'm also okay with what Helena was saying. It could be 77% or something like that. But, I guess we thought that there should be some number in there because we can't spend all of our money on staff and benefits. So I don't know. It's
David, did
the
you
state
have,
of our library.
I thought I saw.
Yeah, I'm trying to be thoughtful about this. And the notion of a cap in a policy like this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It seems to me that as the commission sets a budget each year, one of the things we look at is where are we spending our money? The world changes. Technology changes. Collection changes. The amount of staff needed can go up, down, hopefully not down, but I think how do we best serve our patrons, I think is what that budget is there for, based on the funds we have available to us. So just the notion of putting in a cap on it sends signals that we might not want to send. And like I said, so each, and by setting a budget each year, I think that's how we send those signals about what should the library be doing with the funds that it has. The rest of it, I think, is absolutely a great idea.
I should probably know this, but what is the percentage right now of our total for salaries?
For salaries and benefits, the draft budget that you just passed, it's 72.9%.
72.9%.
Okay. If I could chime in here for a minute. When we got this, Ken emailed me, and I guess it was just me in particular because I asked the question. The salaries and benefits is a percentage of operating expenditures from 12 different library systems. And they range from 56% to a high of about 73.7%, if I'm not mistaken. And it seemed also that if you're going to do that extrapolation, you would also have to be aware of the per capita funding of those individual libraries, because that could skew the numbers. So my suggestion would be that we kick this back to the Finance Committee and we see if we could more coherently understand what these numbers mean within that context, if that makes any sense.
I have a related question. Thank you, Paul. But is there a best practices library standard of what is a good, healthy library's percentage for employees?
Not that I'm aware of. There are, lots of different libraries out there, and as Paul just said, I went to the California State Library website and got the 12 libraries that were used as comparators in the compensation study, and they are all over the map. They range, from Sacramento Public Library at 56.2% up to Oakland Contra Costa being at 74.4%. So, it's I don't know if any of these libraries are considered better than the others, or
what's the reason for having a specific cap?
It was just a way to just put a limiter on it, so it wouldn't go over that. Now, David's point is well taken, that as you go through the budget process each year, you're working through that cap, and maybe it shouldn't be in the compensation policy.
Could be right that you could strike that last. You could strike that last sentence and let this policy fly in the manner that it is, and you probably could get an agreement on that point. And then you could revisit that language later if you liked.
Okay, I'm hearing two proposals or two directions. One of them is that we send it back to the Finance Committee to chime in, and both of them from the same person. And the second is that we strike. You have a motion? A question, okay. Go ahead.
Shall I ask? Does the language of the policy obligate us to anything in terms of negotiations and contracts?
No, I don't believe so. Would you?
No, but it does lead in negotiations to the employees group saying, well, you said you could go up to 80%. And so it doesn't obligate us, but it...
Yes, it does.
And, yeah, go ahead.
So do we have to have a policy like this?
If you say yes.
It was recommended.
So
to have.
I don't agree with this at all, because I don't think that you should have a number. It depends as a percentage of the budget. You don't know what the budget's going to be. Some years, like in a business, you have to spend more money on staff. Some years you spend less, depending on what your strategic objectives are in serving your customers. And then to say that we're going to be in the median, it absolutely is going to impact our negotiations, because it says right here we're going to be based primarily on the median of the market data. That's not necessarily comparing apples to apples, because what other people are getting in terms of benefits, number of days off, paid lunch hour, unpaid lunch hour, and there's so many variables that go into this. I just really feel that this is going to create some boundaries that we don't want to have. And it has to come down to what we can afford. If we can't afford to be at the median, we can't afford to be at the median. Maybe we want to be above the median. Maybe we're going to be below. I don't know. And if what I'm hearing is that we're already at 73%, and the highest out of the 12 counties is only 1 point higher than us, we're already at the top.
Brett?
And this contemplates raising that.
I certainly, as a director, I'd be fine with taking the number out. I do hope that we end up with a policy that at least aligns us with some type of rationale, because right now we have nothing in writing that says what our frame of reference is at all. So, we did the compensation study based on, market average mentality. Now there's schools of thoughts out there in the United States that you should employ everyone at a fairly equal rate of pay. So we do have to have, I think, some philosophy around how we compensate our employees, or we'll never be able to implement any type of change in compensation if we don't have an idea of what our basic philosophy is. So, certainly we can tweak this, but I think if we throw out, at least referring to a market average, and again, the policy could be that we're okay if we're within plus or minus 2. But I would appreciate us agreeing at least that we're, linking ourselves to a market data rationale.
Go ahead. Well, did you? Go ahead.
Well, I guess to take the look at this again, if we didn't have that, is that to imply that we're going to compensate our staff in an unfair and unequitable and subjective manner? I mean, this just seems like it goes without saying. Any manager is going to say, if we're having a recruiting and retention problem, if nobody sends applications when we have a job opening, then maybe we have a problem with our compensation. Or if all the people are leaving and we can't hang on to our staff, then we have a recruiting and retention problem. And that is the number one driver should be the number one driver of our compensation policy. I mean, who goes out and says, I want to be the lowest payer?
The other issue that is interesting to me is salary ranges will be based primarily on median of the market data of relevant labor markets. My question is, how often is that measured?
Well, we just did that with the cough.
I mean,
that's exactly what we did.
We did it now, but
we did talk about that, and at one point we talked about putting in the policy that we would review that every couple of years, and it didn't get in the policy. But I support having something in there saying that periodically we'll check that.
Okay.
And as being part of the policy, and as a member of the Finance Committee and listening to the concerns of people, I think it would be good to have that put in, that we would be reviewing the market data within a certain time frame, and also to take that last sentence out with a cap. And I think the thing about the percentage is it's really the percentage of, as I think you pointed out, like your total budget. So some of those libraries that we're looking at have much bigger budgets than the Sonoma County Library System, and so their percentages fall under this. So I agree that sentence, probably that last sentence, should come out, but I would like to see a sentence in there about how frequently we look at the data to make sure we're still within the range.
I have one thing too.
And what data we look at. And I looked at this study, and I feel it's statistically skewed up, and we do not use the counties, and we did what the county of Sonoma uses when comparing positions, or did we look at librarians at the Santa Rosa JC or Sonoma State? So I believe we should have, but on the other hand, I believe we should have a policy and a philosophy that we pay people fairly. But I do support going back for other wording. And I would say that the study that was commissioned a year or two ago not be used as the standard, that we look at things of librarians hired here in Sonoma County and the other counties that the county of Sonoma uses when they're comparing job specs. So does this mean it goes back? And the other thing I'd like to do is to thank the Finance Committee for all of their hard work on this, and Brett. But I believe we should have a philosophy. I don't know that we should put everything on that study. In fact, I would recommend that we don't. Thank you.
The only other issue I would like to see in here, I think that Joanne brings up, is, and I don't know whether it'll fit in or how it would fit in, but the issue of retention and recruitment, there's kind of two parts to it. There's the issue of, are we treating our employees fairly and giving them fair and equitable? But also, if there's an issue on retention and or recruitment, then that might be a part of the compensation policy too. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's in there.
Where is it?
It
isn't.
Consideration will also be given to recruiting and retention.
Okay, sorry.
Right, but
equity, cost of living benefits, other things.
Okay.
But if I may, it says that primarily it will be based primarily on the median of the market data of the relevant labor markets. And then it goes on to say consideration will also be given to recruiting and retention issues. It should be primarily on recruiting and retention issues, not on what the median is, because that really puts us in again, I don't think that gives us the ability to be as, to have as much discretion as we need.
Okay, so what?
Can I just suggest that this be sent back to the Finance Committee?
That's exactly where I was going.
But also
and that will take into consideration people's remarks, and if you want to come to the committee meeting to say anything further, please do.
I agree with that. But I agree with Brett on this, that just like anything where we don't have a standard operating procedure or a frame of reference, we're just in nowhere. We're in nowhere land. So we definitely need a policy that represents some frame of reference. It's just like a mission statement, who we are and what we're doing. We need a policy for how we're going to compensate people and how we're going to treat them. We need that. So your idea to kick it back to the Finance Committee is a good idea.
Okay, Finance Committee, are you accepting this challenge?
Yes, we accept, and I think that what we'll look at is just
Thank you
make it
for
a
the
little more
work that's
general.
gone into it so far,
Yeah.
as always. And I believe, I've lost my agenda, but I think we're at the lab appointments. And there are a few, and in the spirit of time, can we move?
Second.
I so move. Oh,
Okay, no, it's been moved. We need a second. I think, all right. So all the people on the list are, it's up for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Any abstentions? It passes. They're on. Okay, quickly.
That's great.
The items to be in the commission notes. Anything, I don't know that we're let me make a quick statement here. I don't know that we necessarily need to do the commission notes every month anymore. Because I think we only need to take at the meeting, this is me, but we only need to say at the meeting, did anything happen here that it's significant that we tell our people, our board, our supervisors, our city councils? Is there anything, anyway, is there anything that, if we have something that we feel we need to share, we can share it?
I think it's important about the hours on Monday.
Okay. All right. So the fact that we've asked for proposals on Monday. I had another proposal there.
I think the all-staff day should be reported, and I think, the fact that Tony Hoskins is retired and there was a good turnout for his retirement party is another thing we could talk about.
Okay. So that's 3 items. You got those?
We approved the budget.
That's pretty good. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
2 things that we remain concerned about: the sales tax ceiling and the percentage of our budget that's spent on staff and benefits.
All right. Get those? All right. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Joanne. I'd say we discussed the percentage as opposed to concerned, but do you want to stick with concerned?
No, I didn't say concerned. I think we remain concerned about the sales tax ceiling, but we discussed I just want to present, I think we should present how we ranked those numbers that were sent to my colleague.
I've got it in the piles. Okay, 12, so we discussed, not that we were concerned. There's different verbs there. All right. Anything else? All right. I think I unfortunately then probably need to adjourn the meeting. Well, it's not even 9 o'clock yet. What am I going to do with that extra hour?
Second?
It's by, we don't need to vote.